Mula. Mula rising on ascendant leads to a person who is much inclined towards understanding the higher philosophies and higher knowledge. Such a person is a knowledge seeker. I love one quality of Mula which is very rare to find, and that quality is to seek. Buddha always used to say, I want seekers and not believers. Mula natives are born seekers, and that is why to have a disciple born with Mula ascendant is actually a good thing, because such a person can jump. Such a person can do anything to attain the grace of the Guru. Such a person is fearless. He can do that what others cannot do, and therefore he can experience the beyond which others can't. I meet many people, and most of them are just talkers. They will talk and talk, but when it comes to the actual jumping, they will hesitate. But Mula is not like that. Mula will jump. Every spiritual master loves to have a disciple born with Mula rising on ascendant, because they truly are gone cases, and in spirituality only gone cases can become enlightened. Sane people has no vacancy in the kingdom of God. They are too much into their head. They are too much into their logic and intellectuality. And spirituality can be experienced only when you think less and feel more. Remember, it is through your heart that you can touch the sky. Mula natives may appear as weird because these poor fellows do not understand the ways of this fake world. They are unable to give a fake smile when they don't want to smile. So you see, then this fake world starts criticizing them and labeling them as insensitive fellows. But I think there is nobody as sensitive as Moola Nakshatra natives. The intensity of feeling is just too much within them. It is just that at times they don't understand how to express, and that's where they go wrong. When it comes to Moola Nakshatra, it reminds me of Bodhidharma's first disciple, Hui Ko. Hui Ko must be a Mula native, because what he did, probably nobody could have dared to do it. And the story is very interesting. During his stay in China, Bodhidharma could only find 4 disciples. Only 4. And it took 9 years for him to find the very first disciple. Many people would come to seek his blessing and to ask him questions. But Bodhidharma said that I will answer only to that man who is worthy of being my disciple. And unless somebody who deserved to be my disciple comes, I will not look at the audience. And for 9 years, Bodhidharma never looked at the audience, the people who came to meet him. Instead, he turned his back and looked at the wall. People used to come and they would sit behind him. It was a strange situation. And when someone asked Bodhidharma, why you never face the people but instead sit facing the wall, Bodhidharma said, people hurt me more. The wall is better than people. Looking at the shallowness of the people, it hurts me more than otherwise. So I continue to sit by facing the wall, and I will turn around and look at the people only if somebody proves by his action that he is ready to be my disciple. 9 years passed. People could not find what to do. What action would satisfy him? They could not figure it out. And then came this young man, Huiko. He cut off one of his hands with the sword and threw the bleeding hand before Bodhidharma and said, "This is the beginning. Either you turn or my head will be falling before you. I am going to cut my head too." Bodhidharma quickly got up, turned around and looked into the eyes of Huiko and said, "You are really a man worthy of me. No need to cut the head, we have to use it." This man, Huiko, was his first disciple. Who can cut his hand and throw before the master? Only a man who is utterly mad in love with the Guru. Only a man who has the potential to move beyond the mind. Only the man who is total Ketuish. You see, for 9 years, Bodhidharma was looking for such a beautiful person who is willing to do anything just to become his disciple, just to receive his love, just to be in his omnipresence. And this is what has been happening in the whole history of mankind. Only that man, only that woman who has been able to jump without thinking, without bringing head in between, without bringing the mind in between, only such a man, such a woman has been able to jump, and only those who have jumped have went on to experience that which the intellectuals, the philosophers and the money makers haven't. Bodhidharma was looking for such men and such women, and they are always in minority. Jesus had only 12 apostles, and they were like Huiko. They all just with 2 words of Jesus, "Follow me," started following Jesus. And they were not even aware of this man whom they met for the very first time in their life. But just one call, just one message, "Follow me," and they could feel that this man is something. And they must be Ketuish because they were able to jump. They simply started following this young man whom the others addressed as Jesus. Huiko was indeed the most beautiful person, one of the greatest disciples of Bodhidharma. And the story does not end here. The story indeed never ends, and so does the cycle of birth and rebirth. And so after Huiko, Bodhidharma was able to find only 3 more disciples in his entire stay of 10 years in China. And then one day, Bodhidharma decided to leave for the Himalayas. And so he called all his 4 disciples and said, "I have decided to live for the Himalayas forever. But before I leave, tell me in plain words the essence of my teaching, because I need to select one of you as my successor." The first disciple said, "Your teaching is of going beyond the mind, to be silent, to turn inwards." Bodhidharma said, "Your answer is right, but it doesn't satisfy me. You have my skin." The second disciple said, "Your teaching is of to know that there is no I, and that one should live in total surrender to the existence." Bodhidharma said, "A little better, but not up to my standards. Sit down, you have my bones." The third disciple said, "Nothing can be said. There is absolutely no word that can describe the depth of your teachings. Bodhidharma said, Good, but you have already said something about it. You have contradicted yourself. Sit down, you have my marrow. Now, only the fourth disciple was left. And the fourth disciple was Huiko. And Huiko simply dropped at the feet of Bodhidharma. He said nothing, absolutely nothing, and just tears flowed through his eyes. Bodhidharma raised him up and said, You have said it. You will be my successor.